Yeah, I mean, you're always wary of the first game back after a trip, but it's been some of our best hockey this year has been played when we come off a tough trip. But because we were gone for almost 3 weeks, it felt like we had good energy in practice yesterday, and the day off really helped them. We didn't get in too late, so they got some good rest for 2 nights in their own bed. So I would expect we got good legs tonight.
This is an LA Kings team that's pretty stingy defensively.
Yeah.
What are some keys?
Well, I think patience with it and not waiting for a loose game to happen or trying to force a loose game. So they're going to be very tight to their own net. They're very tight in the neutral zone, and they do feed off those counter mistakes. Being as patient as you need to be in this game, and we want to make plays. So we have a team of players that can do that, but you have to be able to temper your game depending on your opponent. Some nights it's going to be that style will be there for you, and some nights it's not. It's not going to be here. This will be a grinder playoff game tonight.
Do you have an update on the goaltender situation?
Lion goes, Guzda backs up.
Yeah, what's going? Yeah, any update on what's going on with Spencer?
No, we're not putting them in. I don't even think 100% is realistic because nobody plays at 100% in the NHL, but they're just at a point that it doesn't make any sense with the 7 days that we have coming up to have another setback that pushes us beyond that. So our hope and our belief is we get through these two. They say there's an outside chance that Bob might be ready. So he might be ready for tomorrow. But then it becomes, does it make any sense, that risk? So I'm almost at the point, unless he says, I'm at 100%, there's no way he's going into that game. And then if he was at 100%, if he's at 98, would I have played him tonight? So long way of saying we're looking at this break as an opportunity to get both these guys right and ready to go. And we'll probably take advantage of that.
If Bobrovsky is not ready to go, does that mean Guzda's making an NHL debut tomorrow, or is it going to be a line again?
That will be a decision made tomorrow based on workload tonight.
And what are we calling night right now? Is it upper body, lower body?
You could say upper body, yeah.
Upper body.
Bennett and Eric Stahl, both good to go.
Both are in, yeah. Excited about that.
Big news of the day, Alexander Barkov named to the All-Star team. Just how happy are you for him, not just for...
I was kind of
all
hoping he
does,
could
but
take
also
the
just
week off, but I understand it. It's actually great for the fans. Certainly some recognition, not that he needs any here, but how important he is to our franchise, how well he's played, and especially like right now, that line is playing so well. It's good. It's a good thing for the game for him to be there. He'll get 3 or 4 days rest. I don't think anybody sweats too hard at the All-Star game, so I always think it's important for our best players to have an opportunity to do that in front of their home crowd.
And obviously there's a lot of important players here, but for Chucky and Barkey in particular, 2 guys on 8-year deals, just those guys to kind of be out there front and center in an event like this.
The cornerstone to be represented, the 2 really exciting players that are going to be the face of this franchise for a very long time, they should be here to represent our team.
It's kind of crazy. It's only Barkov's second All-Star game, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think of, I was just having a conversation with somebody about Gustav Forsling, how underrated he is as a player. And that was probably the thing that was said to me the most when I first got here, is you don't realize how good Alexander Barkov is. And the why of that is if you're not in the central kind of big market media-driven things, people don't notice you as much. And when those guys came into the league, they had some tough years there. So they're just kind of coming with the team. They're growing with the team in very short order. Those guys will be front and center at a lot of All-Star games.
Do you feel like he's playing like Sasha Barkov?
I think he's playing at the top of his game that we have seen this year. And I think that there's more. Not that he's not given more, but that line, right? So now, as Lundell matures, let me pick as he develops, that line will get better. He will be able to do more. Barkov will be able to do more. Because he's such a two-way minded player, he will always cut certain things off to be sure. And as he plays, Reinhardt's a very experienced, very smart player. As Lundell develops, he's not going to have to cut as much off because his guys are going to be right where they're supposed to be, and they'll start to read. I'm excited about that line as something that maybe there is a shift here, that Lundell is now viewed maybe a bit as a winger. They got to run for a while, but I like Luostarinen in the middle too. I like the idea of what that line could do. So I think Barkov has a higher ceiling now as the players he plays with develops. But his game specifically is considerably faster than it was 2 months ago. He is moving on the ice at a high rate of speed. He's jumping.
He also looks like he's harder to get off the puck like he used to be. I don't know if it was injury, illness, whatever was going on
Correct.
prior to Christmas. Now it seems like he's back to being tough to get.
if it's on his stick, you're not getting it easy, right? He's heavier in the corners, and he's starting to hang on to pucks. And that's kind of an insertion of the idea of playoff hockey into our game, right? It's not a perimeter game, and it's not a seam game. It never is. It's in the corners, on the walls, beat somebody off the wall, and then make your next play. And I think that line is starting to do that. 3 very skilled guys, but they're starting to get a little heavier.
Back in,
Kind of along those lines, Sam Reinhart told me yesterday, because Barkov's so good defensively as a center, it kind of allows his wingers to flourish.
Right.
Have you seen that correlation with maybe why Lundell has had some success playing along?
With anybody that we play with Sasha, you're going to spend slightly less time in your own end, which is a real help. When somebody makes a mistake, he's going to drive back and cover your mistake. So you get a tap on the pads when you come to the bench instead of getting barked at. So your confidence level has a tendency to stay higher. It's he's a brilliant player to play with because there isn't an aspect in the game that he can't be very good at.
Back in Drew Doughty's Norris Trophy season, I recall a really interesting appraisal of his game that you gave. Just wondering, when you game plan for the Kings, when you look at video, what do you see? Drew is 33 now.
I don't think smart defensemen get old till they get into the past 35. I think they may not be quite as dynamic in the past, but I would say that maybe the change in his game is the team around him. He's still a dynamic player. I also think they get smarter about picking their spots as they get older. So maybe you don't see the flourish or the flash or the rush up the ice that you saw, because now they get a little smarter. I got a line I can't use. It's a movie line, you know what I'm talking about. Just a little bit more patience. A little bit more patience in their game. So possibly you don't see it quite as much. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just saying
So,
Colby does.
yeah, okay. All right, so he's just pick your right spots, be a little bit more patient with the game, understand the team that you're playing for a little bit more. I mean, they had a pretty powerful team that could defend so very hard that he could get up the ice and he could be incredibly dynamic almost through the 60 minutes if he wanted to. Now you got to temper your game a little bit. But I still think that he is a dynamic, unusually dynamic player, and that there really isn't an aspect of the game that he doesn't have. He can be physical. He can be heavy down low. He can defend for sure, but he can get up the ice still and make plays.
Thank you.
I did have to look up the bad